Okay, great. Thanks, Eric. And again, we want to welcome everybody to tonight's call, the Indiana Artisan webinar series. Tonight's call is titled Pre-2014 Marketplace Marketing Checklist and Event Preparation. And we're going to have Eric Freeman going through all the information tonight. And hopefully we'll have time to open up the lines where you can ask a question. If you are listening on the webcast, there is a button kind of towards the middle bottom of the page where you can submit a question. You just type in your question, name and email address if you can, and click that button, and those will queue up for us, and we can go through those as the call goes on. Also, if you have a question and you're on the phones, even though we're going to mute the call right now as we get started to stop any background noise, if you have a question while Eric is talking or somebody else is talking, just press star two on your phone, and that'll raise your hand, and I can open up your line, and you can ask your question. And Eric, welcome to the call, and also if they want to send you a call via email, how do you want them to do that?
Yeah, during the call, if you want to email me, I think they all know it's just eric@indianaartisan.org. I'm sitting at my computer with email open, so if you have a question, and the easiest way is just to email me, just go ahead and do that, and I'll read the question and hopefully have at least some answer.
Perfect. Sounds like we're ready to go. So, Eric, once again, welcome to the call tonight.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks a lot for making all this possible. We sort of took a detour on tonight's webinar. The plan was to talk about how to prep for the marketplace and how to prep for national shows. We have 2 or 3 artisans in particular that participate in a lot of national shows, and they had agreed to be part of a panel. But I've been getting so many marketplace questions that it seemed like it was smarter, with the marketplace just a little more than 3 weeks away, to kind of commandeer tonight's webinar and let me kind of give you an update of where things stand, and then just throw the lines open and take questions. I've probably got maybe 10 minutes worth of material here, and then we can open up the lines, take questions, and if there's lots of them, we'll just go as long as it takes, and if there's not many, we'll make it an early evening. I kind of wanted to begin by sharing my attendance goal. Over the last 3 years, we've averaged just a little shy of 5,000 guests at the marketplace. We covered that, I think, in the very first webinar back in October. We went year by year and looked at attendance. And last year's attendance, as everybody who participated knows, fell off significantly, and nobody knows why. It's like all of you who participate in all kinds of shows, sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not, and you just never really know why. I think it was largely weather-related. For those of you who participated, you'll remember it was the first warm weekend of the year. It was in the 60s for the first time, and it was sunny. And I think a lot of people stayed home and did yard work. That's my hunch. But the goal for this year is just 6,000. Our highest year has been about 5,700. That was the second year. This will be the 4th year, and the goal is to have 6,000 people come through. I honestly hope we beat that. But I'm kind of keeping my expectations low, and I think we can do 6,000 without a lot of trouble. To do that, we're spending just shy of $20,000 on advertising, and I thought I'd just real quickly run through where we're advertising and what we're advertising in. In Indianapolis, we're advertising on WTTS, which is really the radio station out of Bloomington, and Q95, which has the largest radio signal of any radio station in Indianapolis. I listened to Q95 when I was in high school, and in my mind, that's the brand Q95 has, kind of the rock album station. But I've looked at all of the radio station demographics before I made this buy, and without question, that Q95 listener is a 50-year-old woman. And sure enough, my wife, who is a 50-year-old woman, always listens to Q95. So regardless of what that brand was in my head, the reality is it reaches the prime demographic of who attends our marketplace. Like we've also discussed in this webinar, we know that 72% of our audience is a woman who's just shy of 50 years old. So we're going after her through WGTS and Q95 in Indianapolis. We're also, we have the largest ad in the prime spot on the Indy Star online for 3 weeks. I think it starts next week and goes just every day up until the marketplace. So anybody that goes to Indy Star online, which is a lot of people, including Indy Star subscribers, see an ad of ours that's about 4 inches tall and about 3.5 inches wide, and it's just beautiful. And it says, Indiana State Fairgrounds Expo Hall, the dates, the times, the prices. So, and it is clickable to come to our website, to the marketplace page. So that's what we're doing in Indianapolis. In Bloomington, in Lafayette, and in Muncie, we have buys on the NPR and the National Public Radio affiliates in those 3 cities. Last year when we did the survey of our guests, the primary demographic came from Indianapolis. The second primary, actually I should say geographic, the second primary geographic came from Muncie. And last year, just as a test, we bought ad space on the NPR affiliate in Muncie. And that was all we did in Muncie. So I'm convinced that it was that NPR advertising that drove that second highest audience. So we're going to try it in Lafayette, we're going to try it in Bloomington, and see what we get this year. Nuvo, for those of you in the greater Indianapolis area, you know that is, for the most part, the arts newspaper. It's twice weekly in Indianapolis. We are advertising in the paper, in their online advertising, and it's a banner ad right at the top when you go there. And then also a spring events guide that they have coming out on the 12th of March. So a good couple weeks in front of our event. They do a quarterly events guide that they tuck into the newspaper. And we've got a nice half-page ad in the spring events guide. Indianapolis Monthly has more than 15,000 subscribers, not just email addresses, but people who have given their email address to Indianapolis Monthly as a subscriber to a weekly email blast and a monthly email blast. But the monthly one has the highest reach in terms of they can count the click-throughs. When you get this in your email box, how many people open it, how many people actually click through the links in it. So I went with the monthly one. It comes out on the 17th of March, and then it sits online for the rest of the month. We are the advertiser along the top of it. We also, I tried to, kind of took a flyer on this one. Kentucky Crafted the Market is this weekend. We have 14 artisans going down to Lexington to participate in it. And the outside back cover of the Kentucky Crafted print program that everyone gets when they go into their market was for sale for $4,000. And there was no way we could afford that. But Kentucky Crafted came back to me twice and lowered the price each time and really gave us a great deal on that back outside cover ad. So we're going to promote our marketplace to their market consumers, and they have about 8,000 people come through that market. And then the 14 artisans who are going down with lots of rack cards and lots of postcards. They're armed and ready to promote our market to people who stop at their booths. So I'm interested to see what kind of a Kentucky crowd we might encourage to come up this year. And then lastly, also as a test market, we have never discounted the ticket price to the marketplace. In my mind, a $10 ticket is pretty affordable. But I do buy into that. When you add the $5 parking fee to it, suddenly it's a $15 ticket, and that's not so affordable for everybody. So I had a $2 off coupon in Reach magazine, which is a coupon magazine. We have a really well-designed ad. It's a half-page ad, and it carries a $2 off coupon with it. We'll be able to count how many come through the door because they'll have to bring the coupon with them to redeem it. So I'm curious just to see what couponing will do for us in terms of driving traffic. So those are the buys that total, like I said, almost $20,000 with the goal of helping us reach 6,000. You or a lot of artisans, and even a good dozen who are not participating in the marketplace, have taken rack cards and postcards and have asked for the high-resolution JPEG to use as part of their email blast. So you're doing a heck of a job, too, in getting the word out. Christy Jo Bieber, an artisan up in Fort Wayne, a potter, is really sharp when it comes to Facebook and social media, and she has agreed to kind of help drive our social media campaign, especially on Facebook. So she's created the Marketplace event page. She's the one who's doing a lot of the Marketplace postings on Facebook. So I really appreciate Christy Jo's help to kind of hit that crowd that gets all of their information online, and that crowd especially that gets their information through Facebook. So questions about advertising, questions about the attendance goal? Again, you can hit *2 to tell Jeff you want to talk, and you feel free to email me, and I'll just keep going until somebody has a question. Jeff, do you see anything?
I'm checking real quick. No questions on the webcast. And again, *2 if you're listening on the phone, and I've got no questions yet.
Okay, good. You are the first to know. I'm going to send out an email to all the artisans probably Thursday, the day after tomorrow. But if you've taken the time to dial in, you'll be the first to know. And while I think this will make you happy, it doesn't necessarily make me so happy. But we are not going to have a preview party on Friday night this year for the marketplace. The sponsor that we've been kind of doing the dance with did not materialize. And finally today I got a definite on that. So we're not going to have a preview party. We will not be open Friday night, so we'll extend the Friday move-in times maybe as late as 5 o'clock to accommodate people who want to just kind of whip in and can set up their booth and get it all merchandised in an hour or two. So we'll extend that Friday time, and then we'll close up shop, and the event will just be a solid 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday. And speaking of load-in, next week I will send out the grid like we have every year. That has the Thursday times, the Friday times, and every time slot will have 4 or 5 options to it where you can put in your name. I'll email that out to everyone so you can tell me what day you want to come in, what time you want to come in, and then I'll respond with what door that you should come to load in. We'll have volunteers this year like we have had every year. We'll have those big flatbed carts like we have had every year. The volunteers will have those. They'll meet you at your door, appointed door at your appointed time, help you unload your vehicle, take you to your booth, help you unload there, and then they'll take the cart and go back to the door and help the next artisan. And that'll go on all day Thursday, the 27th, and Friday, the 28th. So stay tuned for that. That'll come out next week. WTTS. I told you we were advertising on WTTS. We also have gotten WTTS to be a sponsor of the event, and what that has translated into, in addition to advertising, is they are going to give us what they call their classic hits albums, music that's produced in their studio somewhere in Indiana. I don't know if it's in Indianapolis or in Bloomington, but it's produced in Indiana, and we're going to pipe that music in on speakers this year. Rather than have live bands in the center, we'll have music, classic Indiana-produced music playing over the speakers, whose volume we can adjust. For those of you who have not been happy with the country leaning of the music, I'm not convinced it was country leaning, but that's what I heard. We'll do away with that, and we'll try that this year and see how it goes, and we can modify it for future years if we don't like it or if we like it a lot. So what we're going to do in the center then is we will not have a stage. We will put 4 large demonstration booths in the center. We'll still keep the chairs around it. The center will remain as big as it was, and if you can picture that, it's a huge square in the middle of the hall. We'll leave it the same size. We're going to put 4 kind of a plus sign of demonstration booths there. Have 2 art artisans, 2 food artisans. We'll demonstrate pretty much all weekend. That'll be the reason they're there. We'll have chairs around the perimeter of that, hopefully as many chairs as we've had in the past there to listen to the music. So, those men who don't want to shop can sit and watch the demonstrators. Those women who need to sit and ponder their purchases can sit there and do that. We've been advised by a lot of retailers to not take away seating. Seating's important, so we'll leave it, but we're going to change up the center, and that's what we're going to do this year. That'll be one big new feature this year, is that center of demonstrators. But the other equally big, if not bigger feature, will be that in total, we're going to have 20 artisans demonstrating this year. In prior years, we've had right around a dozen, but this year we're going to have 20, and it's in just about every media. So we'll promote that pretty heavily. Come and watch, Artisan A weave, and Artisan B throw a pot, and Artisan C make jewelry. And we'll name names and say where they're from, and those of you who have agreed to demonstrate, thank you, because you're going to be the big hook this year. We had intended, for those of you who heard me talk about a beer garden, that was probably a poor choice of words. All along, it was going to be, we only have 2 breweries who have juried beer into Indiana Artisans. So all along, the maximum number of breweries could have been 2. And I think beer garden implies more than 2 breweries, so it was just a bad or poor word choice on my part. That dwindled to 1, and then Indiana state liquor laws caught up with us. And Great Crescent Brewery from Aurora is going to come, but can only provide samples. We'll be selling beer through the concession stand that's in the expo hall, but cannot sell like the wineries can from their booth. Great Crescent will be there, but we've shrunk the whole idea of a beer garden down to Great Crescent having a 10 by 10 space like just about everybody else, and providing beer samples. So at least one new feature will be beer samples this year, and hopefully the law that's in, or I guess it would be a law that's in front of the legislature right now, will let beer be sold at the state fairgrounds in the expo hall, and next year we can indeed have a beer garden. I think that's about all I have in terms of updates. I did get an email yesterday from an artisan when I first said we were going to change the focus of this, asking about trailer parking, saying, like all of you who come in trailers, and I know this is the case, you'd like to park that trailer close to the hall so that you can use it as your storeroom, for your inventory all during the weekend. And as you know, every year in prior years, the State Fairgrounds has made us take all those trailers and park them way out in the infield. And then they think they're doing a good thing for us by providing a shuttle from the expo hall to the infield. But it's still difficult for you, and if you want to bring a lot of inventory back, it's difficult. So I have made the request again this year of the fairgrounds to let us park the trailers in that parking lot just north of the expo hall. I emailed my contact at the fairgrounds yesterday about this. I have not heard back. Last year, they met us halfway in letting us park trailers along the south outside of the expo hall, there along 38th Street. But if you'll remember, that filled up pretty quickly with the Kentucky crafted artist trailers, and there wasn't a lot of space there to begin with. So just so you know, I'm lobbying for trailer parking in that lot just north of the building so that you have quick and easy access to your trailers. The fairgrounds rule, it has something to do with Homeland Security. They just don't like trailers parked overnight near the buildings. They like them out way far away from all the buildings in case somebody's, I guess, packing a bomb. That's the only thing I can think of. But, you know, we're now kind of a long-time leaseor of this building. We have a track record with them, and hopefully they'll trust us. And as soon as I get an answer on that, I'll let you know, because I know that's concern of a lot of people. That truly is all I have. No. I have one other thing, and this kind of changes the complexion of this call. I don't know that we want to get into artisans advising other artisans, but I did get an email today from an artisan, and let me just read it, because I don't have an answer to this, and I told her that I bet somebody on the call tonight would. It is, what do artisans do when their square does not scan the credit card? Do they have a paper receipt pad with carbon paper to write down the info and then hand batch it from home? I don't have an answer to that. So for those of you who have used Square at the marketplace before and have had trouble with it, the question is, what do you do as a backup? And I tell you what, just to make this easy, why don't you shoot me an email if you've got a good answer to that, and then I'll pass it along to the artisan who had the question. That is the update. Everything else is going great. Everything is on schedule. This week I'm working off to finish the floor plan of the expo hall. Just about every booth number has been assigned. I think there's still somewhere around 10, maybe 8 to 10 artisans without a booth number. I was hoping to get that wrapped up by this call, but I'm very close. Get the printed program a lot closer to being ready to go to the printer. My deadline is Friday noon to have the designer have that all put together, and then we'll get it off to the printer. And that's about it. I've got the tickets that all of you get. You get 3 free tickets as part of your booth fee, and I have yet to get those in the mail. If I've sent you a packet of rack cards or postcards, I've been sticking your free tickets in with those. If I haven't sent you a packet of rack cards or postcards, then I'll slip those tickets in an envelope and just get them snail mailed to you. If not tomorrow, by the end of the week for sure. And that's really all I have. I think everything's going great. We're on schedule. Participation is good. Like I said, Kentucky Crafted is this weekend, and we have built some fluff into the floor plan so that if Kentucky Crafted artists or Kentucky Proud food producers want to join us, they always do. It seems like after Kentucky Crafted every year we get at least 3 calls and sometimes as many as half a dozen. And we always struggle to figure out where to put them. And this year we've built those empty spaces into the hall. So I hope they do call, because now we can accommodate them without a lot of trouble. So we'll know next week how many more of those will join us. We have 109 Indiana Artisans participating. a real good mix. Of course, a lot more art than food, but that's always the case. The layout of the hall will be pretty much like it has been in prior years, with the north and the south aisles, the 100 and the 500 aisles being starting with the food artisans, and then the farther down that aisle, it'll kind of migrate into art artisans, and then the center aisles, the 200, 300, and 400 aisles, all being art, all the way from the west end where people come in, clear to the east end of the hall. I'll get the floor plan out to all of you. I'm thinking probably on Monday next week at the very latest. It's pretty well put together. That's really all I have. If you have questions about the marketplace, that's what this is for, so shoot.
Eric, this is Jeff. We had several questions come in. I've emailed the first two of them to you, and I'm sending you a third one if you want to check on that.
That's an excellent question. It is. Are there any other major events going on at the fairgrounds this year at the same time as the marketplace? The great news is there is no horse show to take up every single parking spot on the fairgrounds. There are two other events this year. There's a golf, some kind of a golf event, and then also a homeschool conference where they bring in, I guess, teachers, parents of homeschool. And we have reached out to both those groups in terms of marketing the marketplace to them. But neither one is expected to be big. I've talked with the fairgrounds about the size, and neither is big. One is in the West Pavilion, which is the building just to, interestingly enough, to the east of the expo hall, so it's near us. And I don't know where the golf one is, but neither are very large, and we will not have that horse show problem that we had last year. Another question, how many postcards via the mail does your guest send out? How many email addresses are on his email list? I'm not sure I understand this one. How many postcards via the mail does your guest send out? I'm not sure what that means. On average, gosh, I would say I'm sending to artisans a good 100 rack cards on average, and probably 50 postcards. Some have asked for as many as 400, and I think the smallest request was for 10, but there was just one of those. For the most part, everyone asks for probably 50 to 150, somewhere in there. How many email addresses are on his email list? I don't understand that question. Whoever asked that, if you want to ask again, I'm happy to address that.
It's Darren from Nashville. So Darren, if you can hear us, he's listening, I think, on the webcast. If you can kind of clarify that and send that in, I'll just keep checking. We've got...
okay. I got another one here that says, do we get passes for the show that allow our helpers to get into the show, or do they have to pay? And that's another good question. They do not have to pay. We'll give you a letter, and if you read through the manual that I sent, I think, just yesterday, it gives you pretty much step-by-step instructions. You need to tell us how many helpers you have and their names, and what we'll do is create name badges for them, for you to give to them, and then we'll also give you letters that you can give to them, and the letter will serve as their free admission to the fairgrounds. So when they come up to that little gate where the guy asks for $5, he'll have a copy of the letter, so he'll know what to look for. They just show him the letter, they keep it, and then they drive on through and come to the expo hall. When they get to the expo hall, they show the people at the ticket desk that letter, and that also gets them in for free. And then all volunteers and your volunteers are free to go through a little orientation, but yours don't have to. If they just need to get to your booth and get to work, that's fine. But if they want to go to the orientation, the guy who leads that will take the letter from them there. Okay, give me a second. I see more questions coming in here. Oh, okay. Somebody answered the question in terms of what to do when the square doesn't work. The person answering says, I've never had that problem, but my backup would be to take check or cash. We did have the square go down 2 years ago for about an hour, and then it was back online. I was going to have customers come back before they left to pay and pick up. Didn't end up having to do that. And speaking of paying and pickup, I want to mention one other thing. every year we have tried what we call a large package pickup, and with varying success. We're going to try it again this year, and when you see the map of the hall, the floor plan of the hall, we'll have an area. It'll be up near the info booth for those of you who have participated in a marketplace before. For those of you who haven't, that's up near the front door. We have an info booth that's staffed all the time when the marketplace is open, and beside it will be the large package pickup. So if somebody buys something big or heavy from you, or basically anything really that they don't want to carry around, you can ask for a volunteer to come and pick it up, take it to the large package pickup area, and you'll give your guest a tag, and we'll provide those tags. They'll have a number on it, so that whenever they want to leave, because it's up near the front door, it's easy for them. They can pick up, they can give the person at large package pickup their tag, take their purchase, and just go right out the door to their car. So I just wanted to let you know we'll do that again this year. It hasn't been asked yet, but on this same vein as the square, the hall does have Wi-Fi, which you have to pay for through ERMCO, the E-R-M-C-O, the company that you buy your electricity from. They also are the company that you buy the Wi-Fi from. However, you do not have to buy the Wi-Fi if your phone has a pretty robust data plan. You can go through your phone's data plan. There is a cell signal in there in the expo hall. So to the question, do I have to buy Wi-Fi to use the square? No, but that would mean you have to use your phone's data plan. If you've got unlimited minutes, well, then you're golden. If you don't, you might chew through your whole data plan. So only you know the answer to that. That hasn't been asked yet, but it's asked often, so I thought I'd say that while we were here on the phone.
Eric, I think I had two more questions or comments come through. I just emailed those over to you. And again, if you're listening on the phone line, if you have a question or a comment, just hit *2, and that'll raise your hand, and I can open up your phone line. And we've got somebody from Indianapolis on a cell phone. Hi, can you hear us?
Hey, Jeff, it's Mark Leininger.
Hey, Mark. What's up?
Yeah, I don't know how many out-of-state people we get through in this venue. It would be beneficial if the numbers would warranty it to actually have like a UPS service to where stuff could be shipped. But I don't know if that's needed or not. This would be my first event there.
We sure could do that, Mark. I don't know that anybody's ever asked. If they've asked for that, it would make sense that they would ask directly to the artisan, not up to the info desk.
Yeah, well, that would be something to have a sign when people walk in that there's shipping services through UPS available.
Yeah, we could handle that at the large package pickup desk. Yeah, good idea.
Thanks,
Mark. Again, if you have a question and you're on the phone, just go ahead and hit *2. If you're listening on the webcast, just submit your question, and it'll come through. And, Eric, I've got another one. Do you see the clarification from Darren from Nashville?
Yeah, and Darren, I'm sorry, I still don't understand the question.
He may be asking me if I read that the right way.
Oh, okay. Well, I think just about everybody knows the other person talking is Jeff Bell, who is Carol Bell's husband. Carol is an Indiana Artisan potter, and Jeff's day job makes it necessary for him to have this webinar technology, which he's offering to us for free. So maybe so, Jeff, or maybe you want to answer that from Carol's perspective?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Darren, Carol's a potter. We've got a list of 1,100 email addresses from clients that have bought her work, and so we send that out in an email to all those 1,100 plus before every show. Our goal is always to try and send it out the week before an event. Sometimes, we're busy and we don't get it out until the week of an event, so like a Monday or Tuesday before a weekend. But we try and send it out so that they have a weekend to plan. How we get those email addresses is pretty simple. Whenever anybody buys at a show, we just ask them, Carol's got a script. I've got a little script that we say, to folks, and we just say, we send out an email to our clients, about shows that are coming up, and so it's a private list. If you're interested, we can put you on the list. And we have found that 70 to 80% of the people that we ask, and we try and ask everybody, say yes. There's only a handful that say no or they pass. And so, I'm surprised. I don't know, as a regular consumer, I'd be giving out my email address, but the folks that are at these shows love the shows. They love to buy stuff, and like I said, 70, 80% are more than eager to do that. On the mail side, for whatever it's worth, we also, whenever anybody buys, let's say over $100 worth of Carol's pottery, we always make an effort to ask them for their physical mailing address. So in addition to their email address, we've got their physical address, and so they're on a separate list. We call it the over 100 list. If you're a painter or somebody else, I'm sure that, you can move that line back and forth, or maybe ask for everybody's physical address. Again, historically, before email was really big, we asked everybody for their physical address that bought, and we had a list of physical addresses that was over 1,000. But around, I want to say 2005, 2006, it was getting expensive to, buy 1,000 postcards and put 1,000 stamps on them. And so we started migrating to email. And so we've got a couple hundred people on that list that buy over 100. And so we'll physically mail postcards out to those folks in addition to the emails that we send out. So I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, ask another one, or I guess, that would be the best thing to do. Does that make sense, Eric?
It does. Yeah.
Let's see. One more cell phone again. I think this might be Mark. Is that you again? Mark, can you hear me on the cell phone, or somebody else on a cell phone that has a question? Maybe it was Mark's old question.
One of the food artisans has encouraged me to remind all of the food artisans that this year you need to bring your own hand wash station for your booth. The Board of Health was not happy with us providing a hand wash station for every 3 or 4 food artisans, and that again is in the manual. So just that manual's only, I think it's 19 pages, and you can read it in less than 5 minutes. It's a quick read. So if you're a food artisan on the call, there's a special section in there just for, I think there's 8 different things that food artisans need to do. And one of them is to bring your own hand wash station. Another is to register with the State Board of Health. There's an online form, and the link is in the manual. It's a one-pager. It's basically name, rank, and serial number, but that form has to be filed with the Board of Health in order for you to participate in the marketplace. So do click that link and complete that form just so the Board of Health is aware that you're at the marketplace this year. Also, another warning, it says, regarding taking checks for payment at the marketplace, be cautious. We took a bad check last year that ended up costing us $60 in lost goods and fees, which makes a lot of sense. And that goes back to answering the what do you do to back up the square, with the answer being checks and cash. You might want to watch checks. There's a couple other answers to that question too, but they provide a lot of good detail. So what I'm going to do is take those 2 answers and just email them back to the artisan who asked the question. So to you two who provided some good detail on back up to square, thank you, and I'll pass that along. Anything else? I know you're all busy. I just kind of thought it might be good for all of us to put our heads together one last time with enough lead time to make some adjustments if we needed to before the marketplace. Any thoughts, any advice for me, things you've heard, things you think we ought to try this year that can be done in 3 weeks? One last thing, and again, this is I would like your feedback on this, and you can email me if you have thoughts. And you'll be the first to know about this. I'll tell the rest of the artisans by the end of this week. It has been, as you know, recommended pretty much from the very first marketplace for those of you who don't like it in the spring, that we move it to Christmas time. And I have resisted that because Kentucky Crafted strongly recommended that we put our marketplace in the February-March timeframe. That's when they have theirs, and they recommended it because it makes our event more than just another show. It targets retailers who are interested in coming and buying wholesale for their Christmas season, 8-9 months down the road. We haven't been particularly successful at that, as you know, and I think Kentucky Crafted is becoming less and less successful at it just because I don't think retailers are buying from events like this anymore. So we've once again kind of scaled back our work with retailers. But I talked with a Kentucky Crafted artist, I think it was just yesterday, who strongly recommended we not give up on that idea too soon and said, 3 years is really not long enough. You need to be there a long time and offer retailers that retail day to kind of position it in their heads as, oh, it's at the Indiana Artisan Marketplace. I need to go on Friday to buy. And it's that wholesale component that makes this more than just another art show. So I've kind of thrown out a couple things there. To go back to, we're not going to move the marketplace to Christmas time. We do already have our 2015 date, and this is the last date we have at the Expo Hall at the fairgrounds. But it will again be the last weekend in March next year in 2015. But this year, on the last weekend in November, and I really would like your feedback on this, so chew on it overnight and tomorrow either give me a call or shoot me an email. The last weekend of November this year, which is the 29th and 30th of November, I am thinking about an event very similar to the marketplace in Fort Wayne, in the Grand Wayne Conference Center in downtown Fort Wayne. The upside to that is that Saturday is Small Business Saturday, that big event that American Express is trying to launch and has been working on the last couple of years. The downside is that weekend is the weekend after Black Friday, and I'm not real eager to hitch the Indiana Artisan brand to Black Friday. But it is in the thick of the Christmas shopping season, really the launch weekend of the Christmas shopping season. Fort Wayne already has a huge event in downtown that is arts related. They call it the Holly Trolley, and they invite artists from the greater Fort Wayne, Allen County area to come and set up shop in empty retail storefronts in downtown Fort Wayne. And then they have trolleys that go to all these storefronts. So artists who live out in the country can come in and be downtown, have a presence, have a store, make good sales for the holidays. And I've talked with the Grand Wayne Center, and they're eager for an event like ours to kind of be the big 900-pound gorilla, the event that really pulls a lot more people to this Holly Trolley idea. I think we would invite all the artisans, first off, so you get first dibs on this, but then we also would invite artists and food producers who have applied to Indiana Artisan whose application was not successful and who live in kind of the northeast quadrant of Indiana to be part of this event with us in an effort to be a little more inclusive than we have been. Certainly not saying that they're Indiana Artisans, but reaching out to those people who have applied and kind of bringing them into our family to some degree. Booth fees probably would be less expensive than the marketplace. I certainly would encourage everyone to participate in the marketplace and this holiday event. And if the holiday event goes well, then we probably would look at a summer event that we would launch in 2015, and then we'd stop there. So Indiana Artisan would offer 3 different events, one in Indianapolis in February, March, one at the holiday time in Fort Wayne, and then one in midsummer, probably June, again, though, an indoor event. And I'm not sure where. I've had lots of different recommendations, and I'd be eager to hear recommendations that you folks on the call might have. So the Fort Wayne thing's not a done deal, but it will be a done deal if we're going to do it in the next probably week and a half, because if we do it, we'll promote it heavily at this marketplace. So again, just a bit of new news. Jeff, any more questions?
Yes, Heidi had a question. I emailed it to you, or maybe it was a comment. How do we schedule time with the photographer you are hiring to do a booth shot?
Heidi is a new artisan who came to the boot camp last week where I talked about that. Heidi, thanks, because I had forgotten to mention that. I have hired a photographer who is going to be at the Expo Hall Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. shooting 3 different kinds of photographs. On Thursday, she is going to shoot, with all due respect to your art and your food, product photography. So if you're interested in having, Heidi's a jeweler, if you're interested in having your jewelry photographed, the photographer's a woman, she can be scheduled to do that. I'm going to send out, probably in the same email with the load-in grid, a schedule that if you're interested in having your product photographed, you can pick a time on Thursday, and we'll probably have a photographer there from sun up to sundown. Then on Friday, her focus will be merchandised booths. Several artisans have told me that they need a photograph of their booth fully merchandised, because when they participate in other events, one of the things they need to provide is a photograph of their booth fully merchandised, and they either have to set it up in their living room or their backyard or whatever, and it never looks good. So while on Friday most of the booths should be set up and merchandised so the photographer can take photographs of that if you want that. And then on Saturday, she's basically working for me. I want crowd shots that we can use to get sponsors for this event, to promote this event next year. We've got some good crowd shots, but there's only about 5 or 6 really good ones, and I feel like I'm just beating those horses to death. So I'm going to have her just wander the hall on Saturday and shoot the crowd and join themselves in your booths. So to schedule her, I will send out some kind of a scheduling form with the load-in form next week, and that's how you'll do it. We will charge for this, but like I said, at the boot camp, it'll be nominal, maybe $30, $35, and what you'll get is a disc after the marketplace. I'll probably mail it to you, or the photographer will mail it to you. She's going to need to go back to her studio and touch up and crop and that kind of thing. And then you'll get a disc with your images on it, so there'll be electronic, high-resolution JPEGs, and it seems like $30, $35 to be fair, probably more than fair, and everybody wins. So Heidi, thanks for asking that. I'd forgotten to mention that. Anything else? Jeff, have you sent me anything else?
No, I think that's it. Those are all the questions we have online. And again, if you're listening on the phone, *2 to raise your hand. I don't see any hands raised. So that may be it for the questions, Eric.
All right. Well, you know I'm easily reached pretty much 24 hours a day on email, especially. As we get closer to the marketplace, that gets a lot slimmer and slimmer because I'm away from my desk. But if you need anything, just shoot me an email, and I'll get back to you just as quickly as I can. Thanks for your time tonight. Thanks for dialing in. Jeff, thanks again for hosting us. I really appreciate this. Hey, Jeff, when is the next one of these? Do you have that schedule handy?
I do. It looks like we had it scheduled for Tuesday, April the 8th. Looks like post-follow-up.
Okay, so Tuesday, April the 8th, 7:30 p.m. I'll send out a notice ahead of time, but that'll be a recap of the marketplace. Hopefully a lot of your financial reports will be in, and we can kind of give a report on how we did financially. Certainly by the 8th of April, we'll have a good solid count of how many guests came to the front door, so we can report on that. So, all right. Tuesday night, April 8th, 7:30 p.m., we'll do this again. If no more questions, Jeff, I think we can pull the plug.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. We'll post this up on, we'll turn it into a video and post it up hopefully later tonight. Eric, I'll send you the link tomorrow or tonight if I can get it. And then, again, if anybody has any questions, just contact Eric. Thanks, everybody, for being on the call. We appreciate it. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.